Once upon a time and We Bombastic Few present, there's another episode. Welcome back. Today we have the unexpected guest hosts, Brent and Daniel. You guys want to say hello?
Hello.
Hello.
It's the unexpected guest, Brent.
I'm the
For
more
the first time
unexpected
on the podcast.
guest, Daniel. Take note of the more unexpected. It's more.
Season 5, episode 4. For those of you keeping track in your... What are those scorecards in baseball called?
Pretty sure we've already brought this up on the podcast.
I know we have, but I don't remember.
I do
the name
not
of
call it.
them.
They're probably just called scorecards or something like that.
Your We Bombastic Few scorecard. You can check off
Yep.
Season 5, episode 4.
Total
We could have
episode
called it-
55, I'm pretty sure. We are
Something.
nearing 100 quicker
Yes.
than anyone could ever believe.
I still don't buy it.
We ain't gonna hit it. I think we're gonna retire
Yeah.
like at 99.
We'll do a half episode.
Triple digits just isn't our style, I feel like.
Would we have?
Well, because the thing is once you hit triple digits, then you gotta hit quad digits, which is so many more. 10 times, in fact, than
Yeah.
triple digits.
we
Are we
would be
dedicated?
basically there if we didn't
Massive
skip any
podcast,
weeks.
by the way.
Actually, no, we would be well past
Oh,
100.
we would be well past 100
We'd be
if
pushing.
the podcast didn't die several times.
But
We'd be
did
pushing.
it really
uh,
die if it was
150.
never really alive?
You're right. This podcast is like a phoenix, risen from the ashes of
That
the
were
old
never
podcast.
existed. Who knows? If we're
That was the metaphor, Lindsay. That phoenixes don't exist. So, bam.
Yeah. Just like this podcast. We are a figment of your imagination. There's no audio coming out of your phone right now.
Yeah, and you can't prove it either. Can't prove that we exist
Mm-hmm.
because the online websites are all just figments of your imagination as well.
Yep. And you're in a
know,
nice,
what if-
soft padded
alright.
room.
What if you found out that like every single web page you've ever seen was a social experiment? They gave you some drug, and only you can see things on the screen.
New
Or
hypothetical.
what if you just woke up and
we pose this question to Brent, and then he's the only one who talks for the entire hypothetical.
right?
We didn't exist.
But no,
either.
so what if like you wake up one day and only you can see screens? And everyone's like, that screen's not on. And it's like, yes, it is.
Yeah, I mean that brings up very
Honestly, that
interesting.
is a good hypothetical.
That's a
the
very
next episode's
interesting
hypothetical.
topic of just like people can experience things so wildly different that you can't prove that they see the same. Like me enjoying one movie, you might interpret it completely different and enjoy it for or dislike it for completely different reasons. So in your mind, it's a
maybe
completely
just
different
like-
movie. Almost.
Maybe just like colors.
Yeah.
And the whole like classic debate with that being qualia. Maybe movies are actually everyone's favorite movie is the same movie. They just see different movies.
Sure.
That reminds me, it was the new Matrix movie that came out like was it a year ago?
What?
I don't remember.
It was less than a year ago.
Yeah. Well, I went and saw it, and I was like, I enjoyed that. That was a good time. And I watched Moist Critical. He did a review of the movie, and he said a lot about it. And then he was like, yeah, it just like wasn't good, or like he didn't like it for this reason, that reason. I was like, I agree with all of the points you made in this video, but I liked the movie. That-
Yeah, I think that's
was
healthy to be
interesting.
able to do that.
Yeah.
I didn't like how self-aware the movie was trying to be, but like they were trying to make a joke out of them being self-aware, but like it just came off as corny to me.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. I plan on watching it, but like as a background movie because I've heard such bad things.
It's not terrible.
It's like I have to watch it. though. I'm like,
Wait.
I'm 75% of
I've
the way
heard
through
such
this
terrible things about
series.
this movie, so I'm gonna watch it, but in the background.
Because I
don't know.
have to. I've seen. I'm 90 or 75% of the way through this series. I feel like I gotta wrap it up.
I mean,
Yes, like
granted,
less than a
this is
year
very,
ago. Less than a year ago, I was 100% way through the series, but still.
I mean, this is a very slanted comparison, but like if someone had seen, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, and how am I blanking on the third Indiana Jones movie? Doesn't matter. I wouldn't tell them to go watch Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
Last Crusade.
Last Crusade, thank you. I wouldn't tell them to watch Crystal Skull.
I don't remember the
You would or
differences
would
of
not?
those
I,
movies whatsoever.
I would not tell them to watch Crystal Skull.
I like it's certainly the worst of the bunch, but like I don't know. I don't think I can condone not completing series.
It's not worth watching, I don't think.
I don't remember.
But
Like,
I don't
You
remember
want
it
to
that
see
well.
Shia LaBeouf as Shia LaBeouf
ah,
before he was really Shia LaBeouf.
Here's the wrong, because he was in Holes before that.
Oh, true. My bad. That's when Shia LaBeouf became Shia LaBeouf.
Here's the thing. I didn't really watch movies and then think they were bad as a kid. And even then, I was still not that big on Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
That is what incited the idea that there could be bad movies.
Maybe it's just the
What a
worst
day
movie
for
of all time.
everyone.
And that enlightened my mind, like, not all media is enjoyable.
The new Indiana Jones, I think, is supposed to come out pretty soon-ish.
I forgot
Harrison
about that.
Ford.
I thought it was supposed to be Chris Pratt, but that, I think, is a rumor from at least 2 years ago.
Okay, is
so
Chris
I have
Pratt
no idea what's
literally
going
everything
on.
at this point?
Yes.
From
Italian.
Italian plumber
Him and Ryan Reynolds.
to be a freaking dinosaur wrangler to comedian to intergalactic hero.
I mean, he is literally basically the Harrison Ford of our generation.
You think so?
I mean, just in terms of roles, I think so.
I think that's a pretty fair comparison. I'll give you that.
Especially with
Oh,
because like
hold on.
Harrison Ford, he's got his big ones, but then Harrison Ford has a lot of generic action movies too. And like only now I'm seeing Chris Pratt in a bunch of specifically like Amazon Prime is having a lot of just, in my opinion, generic action movies with him in it.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair comparison. He's like he doesn't strike me as ruffian as Harrison Ford always has, but I still
I think that's because he started in Parks and Rec, which is why people don't.
and I think that's
see him that
where
way.
I don't even think he's that ruffian in
You know what? I think
And
that makes him more of
Guardians
a
of the
Bruce
Galaxy.
Willis. Because he
What-
started in television, just kind of Bruce Willis was soap opera and Chris Pratt in Parks and Rec. So obviously,
What
that's
TV
very
show was
similar.
Bruce Willis in?
I don't know. He was like in soap operas,
I did not know that.
and then like Die Hard was his first movie.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was his first movie.
Yep.
Okay, we've
No,
been
there
on
was
this for so
a-
long, but how long? What was Chris Pratt's first movie?
It might have been Guardians of the Galaxy, honestly.
Was it?
That
I don't
or
know if it was
the
very-
one with Hunger Games lady?
There's a
I'm
movie
gonna need
with
more than that to go off of.
Jennifer
The-
Lawrence and Chris Pratt.
Yeah, they're like on this ship that like
Are you talking about Passengers, which came out much after?
it was. I don't know.
Uh,
That's just like I know that was like not the past like few years,
I still don't believe that movie exists.
like every other movie.
Yeah. Every other.
What are today's
thing.
segments?
Today's segments are a hypothetical because what is a podcast without a hypothetical? And speech. But before we do all that, we're gonna dive into a little mini qualgorithm like we always do. But even before that, another step backwards. I do not know how to pronounce this, so I have to hear it on the fly. Syzygy, the nearly straight line configuration of three celestial bodies, such as the sun, moon, and earth, during a solar or lunar eclipse in a gravitational system.
Also known as the optimal time to attack the Fire Nation
Yes,
or the Water Nation.
depending
One-
on which one. Yep.
Might say that as a podcast we have Syzygy, given the way we've configured ourselves as 3 stars.
Ah,
Interesting. But another step back. You want to make sure you get the right solar or lunar eclipse proper, because if you attack the wrong nation, you're really screwed over because they're more powerful. So make sure you get them straight. But going to this, Brent and I had a little discussion this past day or two. Was it yesterday or the day before?
Saturday.
Saturday. Brent is a big advocate for smart devices, and I can appreciate them, but the second I feel like it's promoting laziness, I instantly do not like it and don't want anything to do with it. So I guess to open it up, Daniel, what are your thoughts on like smart home devices? Like
give the specific example we were talking.
Okay, the specific one was Brett has recently set up a lot of light switches in his house, so that he can tell certain device to turn on specific light. And my argument is, and our friend Aaron shared, for the most part, shared my reasoning with it, was that seems like it's promoting laziness, because if you needed a light in a specific room, you're going to be walking into that room or be near that room, so you can easily turn it off. And when you don't need it, you can turn it off by turning it off on your way out, rather than like, oh, I forgot to turn off the light. Let me just tell certain speaker or device to turn it off. And I guess Brent was raised a lot more gently than I was, because I know I would have been slapped upside the head if I left the light switch on in any room. So
my two rationale for like why they're beneficial is, number one, for rooms with multiple entrances / exits, you are not guaranteed to walk past the light switch again, which is the case in several of the places I have the switches. And then also, anything that adds functionality and doesn't remove any functionality from the original device of the light switch, like, in other words, it acts exactly the same as it did before, except now it has added functionality, and so it can only be a good thing.
I mean, I would say, in the specific instance of a like smart light, like, I could see it being useful in two situations. One is if you get into bed and the lights are still on. Mm-hmm. And then two, if you put on a movie and want to turn the lights off in the living room.
Mm-hmm. Both of which are scenarios in which I have used it.
But
I understand that.
I mean, so, like, I don't have a problem with it. I don't know that I would spend money on that myself, but, like, I don't have a problem with
obviously,
buying those
like
smart
Brent
devices.
said, it's not losing functionality, so you can still use it like normal. But I personally just, like, I have no problem. If I get in bed, I don't care how exhausted I am, I still get up without, like, any hesitation to go turn it off. Like,
but if you had the option to not get out of bed, would you prefer to not get out of bed?
I just don't care enough. Like, I'm just like, I guess it's such like a disciplined nature of mine that I was like, oh, that needs to be done, I'm going to do it, and not like worry about,
But what if the method to do it were not getting up?
I personally am never like, oh, I hate the idea of getting up right now. I don't really feel that to an extreme that makes me act upon it. Never.
I mean,
like, I rarely would be like, if someone else was walking out of the room, I'd rarely be like, hey, can you turn that off? I'd tend to go and do it myself before I even asking someone else to if I needed it.
Like, if I am in bed and the lights are on, I will just sleep with the lights on.
I've definitely taken naps like that before.
I've definitely done that too, but that's just like, fell asleep the second my head hit the pillow at that point. Like, it wasn't like I didn't have a conscious decision to not turn off the light, really.
Oh, no, I make the conscious decision to not turn off the light. I'm just like, it's not worth it.
So what I'm hearing is Daniel could be helping save the Earth by getting these light switches. Because otherwise he's leaving the lights on all night.
Interesting.
I'd rather kill the planet, personally. You know my agenda.
One light bulb at a time.
It's all part of my massive plan to take out all of our light sources. More on that later.
What a tease. So, in conclusion, you can make any device a smart device, and I'll full send agreement. My mom has a smart coffee mug, and I think that's cool. I don't even drink coffee.
Wait, what functionality does a smart coffee mug have?
Generates coffee.
Whoa.
No.
That's impressive.
It keeps coffee hot.
But what's smart about it? Like, if there's liquid in it?
It's got a built-in heater, but then also it can connect to, like, smart devices in your phone.
So
But I think even if it just had the heater, it would still be considered smart.
if, well, I'm trying to think, like, what is the benefit of having a coffee mug connect to your phone as opposed to just having a switch on the coffee mug? Because you're going to have your
'Cause you
hands on the
can-
coffee mug anyways.
So it has like a floating point for like it can be any temperature, right? And so it beyond a switch, you would need a dial of some kind, and they want to make it as waterproof as possible. Is another reason to keep it all internal
Makes sense.
or seamless, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of
Anyway.
seamless, so you know how your eyes will, like, you know how
See things,
motion
yeah.
blur works? Like, if you move your head too fast, like, it becomes blurry because your brain's just kind of, like, filling in the space.
Sure.
Like, yeah, your brain, like, kind of figures out what's there as you're moving your head and just places an image, even though if your eye's not actually seeing it. And I was thinking about, like, when you hear something different than what someone said. Like, the specific instance I was thinking of, I was talking to a friend of mine who's from California, and whatever he said, it, like, ended in Half Moon Bay, and I heard him say something about, like, getting high today. I was like, what? And that was funny. And I was like, well, did my ears, like, hear the H of Half Moon Bay and the A of Half Moon Bay, and then just fill it in as high today? Does that work the same?
I feel it would be less so your ears and more so your brain. Well, that's
What?
pedantic. For,
That's what motion
but-
blur is.
yeah, which is why I stopped saying it. Yeah, have you ever seen those tests where you can specifically there was a program recently that I saw online that it bolds the first and last letter of words and you're able to read it like 1.3 times faster or something just because your brain can auto complete the words much easier.
I did see that, and I was like, okay, that worked, because however long the paragraph was like, if I just saw this image in normal text, I would not have read it all the way. And I actually read every word in that font, but I didn't like looking at it.
Yeah, it is not aesthetically pleasing, but it's effective. I was
it worked
looking
for me.
into using it though. I'm pretty sure it was like pretty expensive to get the quote unquote software, which seemed dumb, but
I feel like
whatever.
that would not be a hard script to write.
Yeah, I also believe that, but I didn't care enough to like use it in the first place. So
You should make your book in that font. Your books.
maybe someone would actually read it.
I feel like I would have a much easier time reading it in that font.
Interesting. Speaking of fonts, I was thinking about this the other day because I met someone new at work and I ended up working with them for like 2 weeks and I was like, man, this person seems familiar. And I know for a fact I've never met them. There's no chance I could have met them just because of where they lived before and what they did and age differences and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
But I was thinking about it and I decided that at some point in your life, you just meet all the types of personalities there are. Or at minimum, there's so many types of personalities. And I think at some point you just begin to classify, oh, this person is just like a person I've met before. And so now when I look at them and interact with them, all I can think about is the other person they remind me of. Have you guys ever encountered this?
No. I mean, I would say it's kind of like, that's just kind of what you do with everything in general, right? Like, you're just kind of pulling from past experiences to be like, based on my past experiences, and I'm seeing this thing in front of me, it seems like I should do this. Except it's just applied in a social way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like I think I do get what you're talking about, Brent. However, like I almost get it more visually than I do personality. Or at least initially, I have gotten it. The personality without the visual, but I feel like there are times where I'm just like this. Even person that I've known for years, I'll look at a picture of them because they grew a mustache or something, or did something different with their hair. So it's like they look so much like this other person now. And I can't remember who they're making me think of, and it'll take me a little bit into being just like someone random I talked to for like a small conversation once. But like I start making like more and more often. I'm making these ties more frequently, at least visually, personality wise. I definitely get, but it's after I get to know them for a decent amount of time.
I totally think it's legit because the transition then from that is sometimes I'll meet someone who in like is entirely unique and does not remind me of anyone, and anytime I meet someone like that, I'm like, this person's super interesting. I'd like to be their friend because I have not seen this personality before. It doesn't happen very often, but
Name
I've
your
noticed
favorite
that before
people
in
you've
life.
met who remind you of me, and your favorite people you've met who remind you of Lindsay.
Well, so he's been on the podcast before. Kevin reminds me a lot of Daniel, just because I consider it sort of I've labeled it before the quote unquote wild card personality of just really random and hard to pin down, like hard to classify just because they're all over the place. I don't. If I could definitely think of someone if I thought long enough, but the odds of you guys knowing them is very low. So,
Because Brent just knows everyone and it's so popular.
well, so I will say, so Kristen, Lindsay's girlfriend, reminds me a lot of Lindsay.
Yeah,
There you
I'm
have
so
it.
egotistic that I had to just date her.
Right.
It's all coming together. Everything's making sense now in my head. Bombastic quote.
Silence.
Is it silent? It was for like a while. Anyways, bombastic quote today. In anything, the way to get started on something is to start doing it. And now, the hypothetical. So, as I was teasing earlier, I have this long-term plan to destroy the planet by leaving on every light that I can everywhere. If I'm walking through a building and I see a room has its lights off, I open the door and I turn the lights on because that's what I'm about. I want to burn through as many light bulbs as possible. And as I've gone, people will ask me why I'm turning on the lights and I tell them and they're like, "Haha, that's kind of funny. Counterculture, am I right?" And I'm like, "You are right." And then they kind of join the movement. And what happened is enough people joined in with me that we outdid the production of light bulb factories. And eventually the world just ran out of light bulbs. And the government authorities decided, we kind of like it like this. We don't have lights from the light bulbs. All we get is like the natural sunlight, maybe fires. And they're like, well, fires are dangerous. We probably don't want people to, be having lights with fires. And they said, I know. I know the solution. We should only allow people to see at night with fireworks. It's a nice continuation of Daniel's vision to destroy the planet. We're filling the air with pollutants constantly, and it brightens up the whole sky. It's the perfect solution. And so from now on, we're only allowed to have light with fireworks. So how does this change things?
Well, so I do want to. The very first thing I think of is, do you ever you're driving back 4th of July night from a party or something, and just there's smog everywhere. You can't see anything farther than like 20 feet, but just because of how much smoke there is in the air.
Wow, Brent knows everyone. Brent goes to parties on 4th of July, sees the smog.
But yeah, so like I think just for the sake of this conversation not being environmental, for whatever reason, let's just not address the smoke and the imminent death of the Earth.
Well,
And
that'll be the
our
next
lungs.
hypothetical, is we run out of fireworks, and so how do we take the next step towards destroying the Earth? But, we'll get
Exactly.
there.
Well, okay. First things first. Sparklers, mainstay. I think that's your bread and butter of light sources.
Oh,
right?
of course. You're hanging those up all over your house.
Yeah, because basically sparklers are candles now, and so you're going somewhere. You need a sparkler. You have sparkler holders across your house.
So okay,
Yeah.
I have a question, and I don't wanna create such a big obstacle. But if our fireworks are the only light source, how are we going to light them? Other fireworks?
Yeah.
If something's hot enough, it'll light the fuse.
Ooh, what do you do if
You-
you're
if
if you're like heating up something like how does metalworking work now? Because you get it hot enough. Well, first of all, you need the fire to get hot enough. But say you don't, and then you get it hot enough. But now the metal is shining and it's emitting light.
Yeah.
So
So-
I was gonna say you could use electricity, but I guess electricity doesn't emit light anymore.
You can run electricity through wires, but you can't have open electricity.
You can't have it arcing,
Yeah.
which I bet you could still light something by putting it. I don't know.
Yeah, you could you could just heat a coil and wrap the coil in put the coil in a
Well,
box and put the fireworks
Yeah,
in the box with the coil.
Exactly. You're like induction coils still work. It's just they're not allowed to generate light. So if you want to use one, you have to cover it, and then you can use it.
You're not
Lampshades
allowed
on
was
the
gonna
ball
say
of the
from-
inductor coils.
So like it's going to become painfully obvious that I wasn't allowed to play with fireworks as a kid in this discussion. But
Well, it is
you
now.
know the wooden like sticks that you use to light fireworks. Like it's just always burning at the end.
Matches?
Yeah, I know what you're talking
Like-
about.
No, it's not a match, but like
It's like
it's just
like an incense almost. Like those incense sticks are just
Yeah.
slow burning.
Uh,
That are just more like
I-
not a flame, but just like red hot at the tip.
I'm gonna say that is technically a firework, and so we can use that to light things,
Okay.
all right. I mean,
So I was
we-
thinking,
or we just have the eternal fire, which is a sparkler in the center of town that we
dude,
always
that's,
keep going.
That's how it
In
affects
worship.
sports. Dude, the Olympic fire gets put out. And as we all know, it hasn't been put out in thousands of years. Obviously.
Obviously,
Um,
because that would be bad.
so now the Olympic, eternal fire is a sparkler.
Let's talk big fireworks, right? I think maybe you've got what so like big enough that they light up your neighborhood type thing, but obviously it's only very temporary. I think you send those up maybe every 10 minutes or something, or maybe even faster. What's the best light generating firework?
I don't know enough about fireworks to be able to tell you.
Well, do we want big ones or the ones that do a bunch in like rapid fire?
I mean, the
Are there,
more
there's got to
rapid,
be flare fireworks.
I feel like if you can get a lot of rapid ones and let's put them off pretty consistently, you
Yeah.
would be able to like have a decent light source. Your eardrum just might not be existent anymore.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Everyone's hearing is going down significantly.
All according to plan.
Yep. You can't really watch TV at night anymore just because the constant booming of the fireworks.
Well, I mean, also the light coming off the TV.
Yeah, it's not loud, Brad.
Yeah, oh yeah. My bad. It's dang. There's a lot of things that generate light that are not light bulbs.
Yeah, most electronic devices. I'm looking at a power outlet that has little lights coming out the bottom of it.
Is GFCI?
I don't know what that means, but no.
Ground fault current interrupter.
No.
The what so I'm gonna say phones and screens and whatnot work. It's just they don't, like, you can't hold up your phone with the screen facing away and it providing light.
Yeah.
No, it's like that we just go back to the old like Game Boy screens that you had to have a light on.
Well, they're just not backlit, right?
Yeah.
That can you surely someone has made an iPhone or something that is not backlit. That'd be so
There
interesting.
is, I think it was like a flip phone or something like that recently came out that like had very few functionalities. It was like literally you could call. I don't even know if you could text. I think it was mainly just you could answer or make phone calls. And that was about it. And it was just like that same kind of screen.
Well, but I want to see an iPhone or specifically a smartphone that does that.
That can only make and receive phone calls. But it's a smartphone. It has a touchscreen.
Yeah. But what's the qualification for a smartphone?
I would guess it needs to have
Internet access, maybe.
I mean, a lot of phones had internet.
So,
before
like, would a BlackBerry
smartphones
be a smartphone?
I thought so. Like, it's just not touchscreen.
Yeah, that's a good question. Because I feel like most of the things that we say are smartphones. I guess Blackberries were considered smartphones.
Oh yeah,
Forgot
they were.
them.
Everyone thought it was ahead of its time, and then like it just got.
Yeah, but then iPhone came out. It's like,
up,
oh, we have gyroscopic whatever and touchscreen. You can touch it on multiple places on the screen. Da 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 da.
So, smartphone definition according to Google: a mobile phone that performs many of the functions of a computer, typically having a touchscreen interface, internet access, and an operating system capable of running downloaded applications. So, with the caveat of typically, then you only need to perform many functions of a computer, which, depending on what age computer you want to pick. So, definition's useless, not helpful.
Yep.
Too ambiguous.
Dang it, Google. I'm switching to Bing.
So, how about smell? What are your guys' opinions on the smell of fireworks?
I don't mind it.
Do you hate it, or do you utterly hate it, or do you not mind it?
I mean, nothing really comes to mind when I think of the smell of fireworks. I can think of the smell of like the smaller stuff that kind of smells like, gunpowder. You know that smell?
Mm-hmm.
But do all fireworks smell like that? I can't
More
really
or less.
think. Yeah. I don't mind it.
Same.
So,
Doesn't bother me.
all right, well, I don't I think, well, and then of course you get used to it pretty quickly, but I would not say I enjoy the smell of fireworks.
I think
I do like. There's like I don't necessarily like. It doesn't matter because this is life now. But I don't personally enjoy fireworks shows that much. I never really have.
It's not a show. It's to provide light.
I know. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter how much I like it. It's necessary.
Yeah, it is an aside, but yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with you. Like, I don't hate them, but I'm not super entertained by them. It's been a while since a fireworks show like blew me away. Even when other people were like, "Oh, that was amazing," I was like, "Yeah, it was good." I got to see things. Explode.
I never liked them because they were loud, and I don't like loud things.
I don't like inconsistent loud noises. So like, put on loud music, I can tend to like deal with, and sometimes enjoy. But like, fireworks, just like the loud noise is just not enjoyable whatsoever.
I've always felt like with loud music that I've been worse. Like, I feel like, especially in like high school, and people would be blasting their music in the car, and they'd be having a casual conversation. I'm like, I do not know what anyone's saying, but they obviously do. They're talking to each other. I'm like, I don't know how you're doing that. I've always been worse at that than people.
I continually think my hearing has issues sometimes when there are people talking and people responding, and it's like there's no way you're hearing what they're saying.
Yeah, I definitely have some problems, but
Ooh, here's one thing. So the thing about DVDs and the internet is they have to be backlit. But you know what doesn't have to be backlit? VHS tapes.
VHS tapes don't have to be backlit.
And so, Blockbuster's coming back.
Well, because the technology for non-backlit screens only existed before smart devices and such, right? And
Exactly.
And so we don't have the capabilities to play DVDs on non-backlit screens.
And that's just facts. Actually, the sports, that is pretty interesting. So, a football game, right? So, you need to continually keep it lit. So, I'm picturing you are firing off a rapid series of large fireworks to keep the field lit. And then also, players can't hear call-outs whatsoever. Because it is too loud.
yeah, you
I
can't
feel
tell
like there would be like a dispenser of like sparklers in front of every seat, and every fan is just putting up a sparkler and it just lights up the entire stadium. And then it's like
I don't
low
think it would
noise.
be that effective.
You don't think? I mean, they don't put off much light, but you're talking, tens of thousands of seats for like a professional setting.
I think the issue would be on the field. I don't know how much of that light would reach the field.
I don't know. Do you think it stacks?
That's exactly what I was trying to picture, but I don't know how light works. I didn't specialize in optics.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably find the physics 2 equations for optics and tell you a little bit, but
Unless it's a concave mirror, I couldn't help you. That was my optics in physics too.
1 over focus plus something, I don't know. Or F was focal point. Doesn't matter. Physics 2 should be removed from the curriculum. I said it.
Yeah, I cannot endorse that, as physics 2 is basically what I majored in, but they called it something else.
I should not have taken physics 2. I gained nothing.
It's fun. Anyone have any last final thoughts on fireworks?
Nothing for me.
No.
So, in conclusion, go to those places that the trailers that have the big signs, buy one, get 4 free. Stock up on sparklers now, because Daniel's following is gaining traction. And the light bulb companies are, supply chain issues. They are our issues. Can you imagine if we were a big enough podcast to single-handedly cause the crashing of the light bulb industry?
That'd be so awesome. I'm here for it.
That'd be sick. Anyway,
I'm about that.
We're going to move on to segment C, which everyone knows C stands for speech. But first, we'll take a quick word from our sponsors. Have you ever been playing a game before, specifically a dice game, and thought to yourself, I really enjoy this game, but there's just too much element of chance in here? Well, no more with single-sided dice. With single-sided dice, you always know the outcome. No longer will you lose a game just due to random chance. Have you guys been able to play a game with single-sided dice yet?
Yeah, it's been great for me because, I tried to replace some of my dice games with coins, which are two-sided, and that was still just a little too much chance for me. And, on the occasion where it lands on its side, that really tosses things up for wild turns. So with the one-sided dice, I only have to worry about my 2 dimensions, and you lose it while you're rolling it, but then once it lands, you can see clearly the one possible result, and so it's changed the way I game.
Yeah, it's great when you initiate the games, but I've been on the other end of Daniel's winnings, and I continuously lose. So if you are instigating these bets and games, I'm all for it. 100% pick yourself up a one-sided dice. But also be cautious if someone else brings forth a one-sided die.
Yeah, be sure to take your one-sided die to the craps table.
Mm-hmm. And if you order now, you'll get Yahtzee with your single-sided dice order. Now, moving on. Segment C. Everyone knows C stands for speech. It's 4th of July, people. Tomorrow, if you're listening to this on the day it came out, which you should. And if you're not, then you should follow the podcast to find out when it comes out, which is Sunday. Anyway, moving on. Independence Day. There are speeches about Independence Day, and everyone knows that there's one speech that is higher than all the rest for Independence Day speeches, and that is the Independence Day speech. And so, in celebration of Independence Day, we thought we'd go through and really analyze what makes this speech so top tier. So, we're going to start out. This speech is from the president, obviously. And so, we're going to start out. First line, good morning. A solid opener. What do you guys think?
You know, I think good morning is a solid opener to anything you could say at any time of day. I think everyone always appreciates a good morning, even if it's, 6 at night.
I don't even remember if the speech was given in the morning.
No,
but
I personally am a
it.
good evening type of man because it's much more inclusive than good morning. But I think it fits in this situation.
I really, I don't know. It's got the poetry. I like it. Good morning. In less than an hour, aircraft from here...
Are you just going to gloss over in less than an hour?
Okay, sorry. In less than an hour, comma.
Okay, let's talk about
that?
time here.
It's a construct, but he brings it up anyway. And I really appreciate that.
He's
it's
constructing
tough.
his speech as he goes.
It's a construct, but it's also relative, which is really wild to think about when he clearly says less than an hour. So what do you think he means by an hour?
Well, it's funny that you bring up relative, because as the speech goes on, later we'll see, he brings up his fellow man, mankind, humanity, and how we're banding together. And he almost speaks of humanity as a family, his relatives.
Is he really related to all mankind? Maybe that's how he became president. Is there a little bit of nepotism in the American... electoral system? Maybe.
A 1,000,000%, yeah. I mean, this guy pulled a string with all of his family to get in.
Which is everyone in America.
In the world,
all
even.
Right. Moving on. Aircraft. Let's break that down. Aircraft.
Do you think he was talking about fireworks here?
He could be talking about fireworks. They are crafts that fly in the air.
I think this is a call out to the future production of Minecraft, in that at this time there were no blocks to mine, there was just air.
All right, Daniel, I like where you're going, but hold on, let's read this next line. From here, we'll join others from around the world. What do you make of that? And everyone knows the Earth's flat.
I mean, he's clearly trying to gaslight America.
I think so too. Because it obviously references Minecraft with aircraft, but then he goes right against himself. But that contradiction, that paradox, is what gets you paying attention.
It really draws you in. You're already thinking about family and relativity. You're relaxed because he opened with good morning, and that really got you settled in. And now he's really got you thinking about, what is reality? What is this world we're living in? Is it around? It can't be. That's impossible. That just seems so out there. And yet here is the president of the United States speaking to his family about the roundness of the world.
You've looked out before. It was flat. When you look across the world, it's flat. How would it be round?
Listen, if the world were a slope, then why doesn't a bouncy ball roll when I set it on the ground?
All right. And moving on. And you will be launching the largest aerial battle in the history of mankind.
It has to be fireworks.
Has to be fireworks. What kind of large aerial battle could there be with planes.
Well, we're fighting the darkness here, is what the battle is. We don't want there to be any darkness. We want to be able to see our fellow mankind.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Also, let's break that down. Mankind. Where's the dog kind? The cat kind?
I think what's interesting is he says, in this history of mankind, as if there are more histories to be had.
He's from another timeline. This is not his first
cow.
battle. This is not the first time he's seen the world.
He has seen larger aerial battles. 'Cause he didn't say this is the largest aerial battle in history, in any history of mankind. In this history. So
He's saying, listen, this is nothing. Where I come from, you would crap your pants if you saw the aerial battles I've seen.
Wow.
But this is the largest in this history.
Truly inspirational. He's basically telling, the military and personnel he's speaking to, get good, scrub. This is a noob level.
I agree. Okay, moving on with his next line. Mankind, double hyphen. So mankind, 2 hyphen.
He says double hyphen in the movie.
Yes, I'm sorry. Mankind, double hyphen. That word should have a new meaning for all of us today.
And back to what you were saying, he doesn't say dog kind, he doesn't say womankind, he doesn't say elephant kind. He says mankind, and he's saying there's a new meaning for it, and it's still unclear where he's going with that, right?
Well, so let's see what he follows up with. We can't be consumed by our petty differences anymore. We will be united in our common interests.
Okay, so now
Mankind.
he's bringing back the inclusivity. He was talking about solely mankind, but now he's talking about womankind. He's bringing back in the womankind. He's bringing back in dog kind. He's bringing back in snake kind. All of the kinds are now together.
But look at how topical he's being. Interest rates. He's talking about the interest
Predicting
rates.
interest rates.
Mm-hmm. He knows what the common person's issues are, what they're dealing with right now.
Mm-hmm. And they're increasing because of petty differences.
And, petty interest, consume. How about collecting interest on your petty theft of consumable goods?
Daniel, why don't you take this next paragraph?
Perhaps it's fate that today is the 4th of July. It's actually the 3rd of July when this episode releases, so a little bit of a faux pas on his part.
Yeah, I don't know what he was saying there. Maybe it was a metaphor for how every day is like the 4th of July.
Every day we're independent, right? Independence Day. Mm-hmm. He's calling out the name of the movie he's speaking in.
Mm-hmm.
That's mind-boggling. He continues, and you will once again be fighting for our freedom. Our? Who?
Could it be mankind again? Only mankind?
Mankind,
or
mankind of this history, mankind of the other histories. He's certainly not talking about the aliens. I think we should include that.
He doesn't want to be pinned down. He likes to keep it open to interpretation.
That's why we like him. Not just because he's, our uncle.
Yeah. Personally, he's my sister.
Wow. We'll get into that later. Maybe. So, we'll once again be fighting for our freedom, not from tyranny, oppression, or persecution, but from annihilation. And now
I've seen Annihilation. It's a solid 7 out of 10 movie. But he's saying that we're fighting for our freedom from Annihilation, the movie. I thought it was pretty good.
So do we really need to be saved from an average to slightly above average movie?
Mm-hmm. Which is what I was thinking until I remembered Annihilation honestly has one of the creepiest scenes I've ever seen with a bear having a human voice.
Well, because here's the thing. I think perhaps the president, this is pre Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, right? And so perhaps Annihilation was the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull of its day and age, in that it made people realize what kind of what it means for a movie to have faults. And so,
Well, so technically Annihilation came out after, but the thing is we have to remember this isn't from our timeline. So actually, we don't know what the movie Annihilation was from his timeline.
clearly that was Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, and it was just called Annihilation
maybe
in that timeline.
in his timeline, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was called Indiana Jones Annihilation.
He is a connoisseur of the art of film, and it just tears him up inside that he has to be bogged down with all this negativity from within that, you know, movies bring him now that he's realized that they have faults, and it's Annihilation's fault. Lindsay, you wanna take it from here?
Continue us on.
Next line is, "We're fighting for our right to live, to exist."
What does it mean to exist?
What does it mean to
When
live?
there are infinite timelines, how can you truly say you exist when there are infinite others of you doing their own thing?
Yeah,
if you disappear, there are infinite other of yous.
Yeah, there's less impact from your existence in this one universe, so why does it really matter? Why does existence even matter at this point?
So, what if X is to formally be something? What is the prefix that would be opposite of X? N. So, I think it's interesting that he uses exist specifically instead of enist, right? That has to be intentional. Because
most speech writers would have put inist at the end of that line.
I think another thing to point out here is that he's been very tunnel vision on to what's the right of to live, and not what's to the left.
Oh, right.
That I didn't even think about that.
Because if you look to the right of live in the dictionary, you'll see how it's pronounced. And then the definition and such.
Yeah, but
I think you guys see where I'm going with
phonetic
this.
spelling.
I think that's a very rough point because there's a whole other half of the dictionary to the left of it. So why are we giving up about a half of the dictionary just to exist?
Perhaps
Maybe it
live
explains
is
it
in
later
the
on.
very middle of the dictionary. And, you know, because he's kind of pitting humanity against aliens, right? So half and half humans, half aliens. And he's saying, because humans come after aliens in the alphabet, making them to the right, and so he's putting humans first.
I think you're right.
I'm certainly not left.
And should we win the day, the 4th of July will no longer be known as an American holiday, but as the day when the world declared in one voice. So before we get into this, what is this little preface?
Well, clearly, what he's trying to say is he's abolishing 4th of July as a national holiday.
He's also abolishing the allowance of everyone to speak independently. You now have to only speak if everyone else is speaking.
Yeah, which is tough because of daylight savings time.
Yeah, it really is.
Which again brings us back to we're living on it's not a round world. It's not a spherical world. So why do those even exist? He brings us into the conundrum, this paradigm.
See, you'd think he was contradicting Flat Earth if you would just do a surface read really quick, but when you really look into it, he's questioning it. He's making you think.
Yeah. Which is I think being so critical like that and so challenging really helps one grow their own perspective.
Do you think if everyone in the world were shouting something in unison, like, do you think, like, let's say hypothetically there was a way for that sound to travel through space, like, what would that sound like? You know what? I think that is about what it would sound like.
Valid.
Yeah, that's what I was doing. My impression.
Of course.
All right, let's finish this off here.
Yeah,
We will not go quietly into the night.
We will not vanquish without a fight.
Why are you saying that in the cadence of the Team Rocket thing?
Because that was the original intent. They for copyright reasons they couldn't, but that's what he originally wanted.
I don't know how I can say the other two lines in the cadence of Team Rocket. To denounce the evils of truth and love. We're going to live on. It doesn't work.
We're going to survive.
On the next lines. Today, we celebrate our Independence Day. Well, tomorrow. If you're listening when this podcast releases, it's tomorrow. You could celebrate today, I guess. No one's going to get mad at you for fireworks, but, you know.
And if anyone does, even if your city has a no fireworks ordinance, tell them We Bombastic Few said it was okay.
And if you're
don't worry, we know them.
In a country that is not America, we also are endorsing you to shoot off fireworks on the 4th of July.
And you can also tell your local authorities that We Bombastic Few said it was okay.
Yeah.
And you'll be fine. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But just like the end of that speech, we are celebrating the end of the episode, which is season 5, episode 4, overall episode 55, double fives, the old double nickel episode, and that was the 4th of July special. So don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, follow. Always appreciate that. And I gave this out. I don't even remember how many episodes ago at this point, but if you tweet us a hypothetical, the first person to do it, we'll do it. No question. We won't even question what the hypothetical is. The hypothetical could be what would happen if I ate this sandwich, and we do the entire hypothetical segment on what would happen if I ate this sandwich.
The caveat being that it has to be something that Brent's mom would want to listen to us talk about.
Yeah, the small caveat is that, shout out to Brent's mom, it needs to be Brent's mom appropriate. So, with that, final thoughts.
If you're in America, happy Independence Day.
If you're not in America, also happy Independence Day.
Happy 4th
American
of July.
Independence Day.
And if you're in a different time zone,
if you're in a different country, happy independent from America.
Stop believing in time zones and just celebrate the 4th of July.
If you're a flat earther, you should be analyzing the speech from Independence Day.
Mm-hmm. The wake up sheeple. Will Smith, you were in Independence Day.
You should come talk about the Independence Day speech with us next week on the podcast.
Yeah. You should help us analyze this speech, just because I'm sure you've got some insight in it. You've had a lot of time to think about it since you took out the aliens.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've got some opinions. Also, thank you, Will Smith, for taking out the aliens.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. We're forever in your debt.
As well as not only in his role on Independence Day, but also as a member of the Men in Black. So.
Oh, yes. Multiple alien protections via Will Smith.
And he stopped
Greatly
the machine uprising in iRobot.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And
zombies.
Yeah, the zombie outbreak. Yep.
He stopped the shark in Shark Tale.
Yep. He stopped a robot spider in Wild Wild West.
He stopped the struggle of mankind being single and not being able to communicate with ladies in Hitch.
Yep. He's really just solving all the world's problems.
And
so
a will of all trades, if you will.
Mm-hmm. If so, solve the problem of this podcast not being entertaining. And with that, have a bombastic week. We'll see you next time.